for his opponent. So let's get it on, Ben. I'm ready for it. It feels good to have DreamHack back. And here we go. In the bottom right side, we are looking at the main base of our Russian Zerg, a member of the Moscow 5 and B100. It is Vanya.
And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, he's the guy that everybody's talking about. It is Liquid Clam, also known as Clem.
Not me, though. Not talking about anyone.
I love that clip of Cyril, man. Like, it's so good.
I think that Jonah is getting sick of it, of everyone spamming it, everyone talking about it.
I mean, like, you're kind of to blame, right? Because you can bring it up. You've got all those sound cards now of it happening.
True, but it's also when Rainer was here. Rainer is like, you know what was my favorite moment of Jonah streaming? And I knew exactly what he was talking about because it was from a moment that they played on Lightshade. And I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, Nightshade, not Lightshade. And I was like, yep, I remember the game, I remember the moment, and I was like, wait a minute, this is great material. We can start spamming this a little bit. All right, Ben, TVZ on Blackburn. This is obviously your territory. I've had Rainer over here for a while, and he kept talking to me about this map basically not playable. You know, there's not much you can do as a Zerg. Why do you think Vanya chose it as the opening match with his best of 3?
Well, first and foremost, Rainer is also a person that said lurkers sucked and then revolutionized lurkers and made them the one thing that every Zerg was playing for a good solid month straight, and then one kind of eats it with them. But yeah, so, you know, we can only go so far with what Rainer's saying, but this map, it is exceedingly difficult to kill your opponent as a Zerg player. So very often you get that moment where you're overwhelming your Terran opponent. But here, the Terran can survive that, and turning it into a cross-map situation, or rather a split-map situation, is very, very possible. And when you're up against a guy like Clem, maybe you have to go for the kind of weird, cheeky maps. But honestly, I'm a little surprised that it made it in.
I think Blackburn, I think Vanya, going up against Clem, I think Nidus. But I almost feel like it's too predictable, right? I'm pretty sure that that's the first thing that Clem is thinking of as well. And Nidus play can be good against Terran. I know certain European Zergs are not a fan of when I say that. I don't think it's great, but obviously we've seen it work even in the GSL finals. But I feel like it can only really work if it truly comes as a surprise. But I feel Vanya doing a Nidus against Clem is not surprising at all, right? That's kind of the first thing you think of. And then it's normally not that good.
No, you're right. And I mean, Vanya, oh, this drone does get picked off along with a Ling before, and he will be able to get out, even with getting a Ling as well. This is some of the stuff that Clem will do and make it look very, very easy and simple. But when I was just thinking about vetoes, actually, like, so it's 2 vetoes each, right? Mm-hmm. So for a Zerg, vetoing, because you pretty much have to veto Beckett, I guess, and then you have the choice of this or Oxide. It's actually a pretty damn decent map pool for Terran, like, not gonna lie, especially when it comes to TVZ.
Oh, I think that is something that a lot of Zerg players have mentioned over the last few weeks, that this is quite a decent map pool. That's a soft way to put it. Clement, his side of the map is playing very standard, guys. It's a triple CC opening, and I'm expecting Clem to do nothing else other than just be very standard and solid. Get a bit of map presence going with your Hellions. Push back the creep, and I feel that Hellion Banshee is almost like a go-to opening if you feel like you're the better player in this matchup, right? Because what can Zerg players truly do other than just play better? And that's kind of difficult when the Terran on the other side of the map is Clem. It's hard to play better in this matchup.
Yeah, Hellion Banshee, it's not like the good old days where you could just Nidus it and kill it kind of thing, when Nidus was a lot stronger. Nowadays, with the 3cc opening, you can be very greedy, and this comes down to how well you can do things as opposed to how well your opponent can stop things. Like, you know, the Hellbat stuff, that kind of just comes down to what the Zerg response is and whether they're good enough. But this is where you can really kind of fine-tune it and really dance around with your units.
Yep, so we know that Clem is going to try to be as annoying as possible, push back the creep, find a queen if he can. Vanya did get a good scout off, and he knows pretty much everything that is happening on the other side of the map. I'm not shocked by this at all. I kind of expected this just to be Hellion Banshee, because it just makes sense to me. If you are the superior player, and even though Vanya's good and he had a good DreamHack season last year, this is a very solid opening to go for. Vanya did catch one Hellion there, Ben. It's not much, but it's honest work.
It certainly is honest work, Kevin, and he got away with quite a few of his Lings, not outstaying his welcome. Look at this Banshee, by the way. He's just in a spot. I don't think it's envisioned for Vanya. So any drone that does wander by, Oh, it's actually... Okay, I was about to say it was out of range, but Clem, too quick to react there and does nab a little drone. But now it has been notified. Vanya knows everything that's going on, so he's going to be a bit more careful with his drone transfers here. And, wow. Expanding completely down the map is Vanya. I like it from him. He's playing confidently this game.
Yes, it is as important, and it keeps that drone count up. At this point, he doesn't have a monstrous lead. He's going to make 5 additional drones. This is just kind of the phase in the game that normally is very scary, because we know that Clem can find openings with his Banshees. We know that he can find opening with the Hellions. And if you lose drones, you're going to replace the drones. And if you keep replacing drones that you've been losing, well, Ben, that's when the Marines and tanks show up. I'm already finding a bit of damage. It's not too bad yet, but at the same time, the Hellions are going to push back the creep. I hope that Vanya can catch a break somewhere, because it needs to be cleaner, it needs to be better than it's been so far.
This micro with the Hellions is really good, kind of using one of them to bait, and this drone damage as well. It is getting kind of out of control at this point, and not one of the Banshees has been killed. One of them is, yes, very low, but, you know, there's no upgrades on the way because Vanya's going for Muta, and I'm already very scared for Vanya this game.
Yeah, me too. It's just, if you want to beat Clem in a TVZ, especially on this map, or a CVT from Vanya's point of view, it all needs to be perfect. Maybe we can surround the Hellions in the center. Well, we don't get all of them. We'll get most of them. One more Hellion should fall. This is nice, because now Vanya actually gets himself a bit of freedom, so he can start making mutas, then go back into droning, and hopefully get that 80+ drone economy rolling, and then just get a crap ton of mutas, lings, and banes. I am with you that it's a bit shocking that we're 7 minutes in and no Evo chambers yet, but maybe this is Vanya's strategy. He's like, you know what, if I do everything super standard, I'm not gonna win, so why don't I try to surprise Clem with way more units, even if they don't have upgrades?
This could be a Q anti-timing, because those mutas are now out, and this is the first time that they've been shown, but no Banelings in the mix, and Clem pounces on the opportunity, takes out 3 mutas for 4 Marines, already a good trade.
Yep, and we're not done yet. Okay, that was a little misclick indeed. Not all of the Marines getting out there. Vanya wants to get the second medevac too. Vanya does get the second medevac. And even though it started off bad, because I'm with you, losing 3 mutas is a bit much, and honestly worked out quite well for the Russian. You do still need to be concerned about the Banshees on the top right side. As there is an Overseer showing up. Wow, look at Vanya getting a couple points on the board.
Not just a couple points, Kevin. Like, he's managing to throw down those 2 medevacs like he did, and also get rid of the 2 Banshees. That is huge. And it does look like Clem has to play very different compared to how you would against a normal Zerg, because there hasn't been a drone made. And that 4th, it was almost just for show. And Vanya, he's got a big army outside Clem's base.
This almost reminds me of some old school Dimaga stuff that he used to use against the Koreans every now and then to catch them off guard. Vanya finds a few more Marines. The tanks are going to be a bit exposed. Baneling's going to try to connect with the SCVs. Is the muta count high enough, Ben? It's high enough for the first tank. More Banelings, SCVs clumped up. Clem is definitely in a little bit of trouble, but he is starting to stabilize. And let's not forget that he does have the upgrade advantage.
Yeah, and that was an all-in by Vanya, and you see that plan B is, okay, he's not died, what do I do? I need to get the Evo chambers up and rolling, and this is problematic. These Winter Mines not really going off on the right units there, and Vanya, he's trying to fight, but he needs to get out of town.
Yep, a lot of the mutas were very low on HP. Clem throws down a scan in the top right side, because he's like, wait a minute, you've got a lot of stuff, mate. How many drones did you have? Now he gets the confirmation that Vanya didn't have all too many drones in the top right side. And obviously didn't have upgrades either. Good crisis management there by Clem, because I think that could have been a lot worse.
It certainly could, because I look at the workers killed and it's pretty much even between them. Like, that could have definitely spiraled out of control, but very nice focus fire by the tanks. Vanya trying to slip in a few units here and there into the natural, but not getting anything done. And this is where the game gets scary now, because, you know, the ace up your sleeve has been revealed, and now what do you do against Clem?
Yeah. We'll find a few more Marines, but this is a very bad trade in the end, because we don't want to be losing those mutas. They are a little too expensive. Since Vanya didn't have a monstrous Zerg economy, the 12 mutalisks that have gone down so far, they hurt a lot. Because imagine if he's flying around with 20+ mutalisks at this point. That's something that you truly have to respect as Clem, and you can't just deal with it anymore with a couple of leftover Marines. Then you really got to start keeping track of it. But at this point, that Zerg army is just not that terrifying. Drilling Claws is done too for the Winter Mines, and that's going to make it harder and harder for Vanya to get a great fight.
Yeah, and this is really nice by Clem. Look how far this breach spread's been pushed back, and the Widow Mine goes off. The Widow Mines go off. That is a lot of dead Muta, and Clem's just trading so efficiently here. This is really bad for Vanya.
Yeah, a few Banelings do find a couple of connections to the Marines off creep, but it's obviously not good enough for Vanya. He needed much better trades early on. It's hard to take these fights off creep when you're down 2 upgrades. And even though Clem looked like he was in a tiny bit of trouble when the SCVs were in dire straits against all the Banelings, in the end, the kid stayed calm and composed. And looks like he's going to pick up a pretty convincing game 1 here.
Oh, this micro. I mean, we can gush all we want, and we will do throughout this DreamHack, I guess. Just seeing how good he's playing in GG. Clem takes the first map. Kind of how we thought things might go, right? Like, Vanya brought out something a little bit wild there. And I like the go for it. I like the fact that he did do something like that, but Clem just showcasing that he is very, very solid. And even though a few things didn't go that well for him, those 2 medevacs with the unload, like, he does make mistakes. But yeah, overall, just very clean play by him.
Yeah, even though we lost those 2 medevacs while maybe not getting the best trade, the fact that he just like sniped 3 Mutalisk immediately, losing 3 of your first 10 or 11 Mutas, that does hurt, especially if you were producing those of 60-ish drones. Basically, for Vanya's strategy to work out, everything had to go perfect. It didn't all go perfect, and he just didn't have that follow-up punch while he was trying to get on top of the SCVs. And it's also that Clem was obviously getting ready for it with not just 1 turret, but multiple turrets and a bunker, and then the 2 tanks a bit more spaced out. Otherwise, maybe Vanya could have gone a bit more damage, and then it would have been a different game. But a lot of things have to go well for the Zerg to pick up a map against Clem. And unfortunately for Vanya, just not everything lined up.
With Lightshade being mapped to for this best of 3, it is a map that is Zerg favored and has been for quite some time. So a little bounce in the opposite direction. So maybe Vanya can set something up a little bit cheekily. It has to be said, though, Clem, like, I love the fact that he was kind of surprised by those Mutas, but he took the moment. He was like, bam, just sniped off 3 Mutas, as you said, gets away. Like, that could have went so good if he did unload properly, but small little bit of misclick, mismanagement there. I really think whenever you have a Terran that kind of utilizes control as their strong point, such as like a Beyond when he was really good, a Clem now, the siege tank focus fire, the marine focus fire, all these things are so on point with these players, and it's so beautiful to see.
Yeah, especially when he was under pressure. I was looking at it, but the tank shots were on the money. They were at the Banelings when they should have been at the Banelings. Otherwise, he would have taken a lot more damage. And that means that this man, arguably the favorite to win the entire DreamHack SC2 Masters Summer, has taken a 1-0 lead in his first series. It is Team Liquid's Clem.
Clem. And spawning over in the bottom right-hand side, he's always willing to throw out something a little wacky and wild. It is Vanya.
I truly wonder how Vanya is going to fare in this group, because there is absolutely potential for him to make top 4, and maybe based upon his performances of the last year, he should even make top 4. But I'm also a bit worried, man, because I can see Gong Fu beat him, I can see Shadone beat him, I can see Christiana beat him, I can see Bly beat him. It can also go the other way around, but it does make Group A very fun. Can't wait to see how things look once we have 3 or 4 best of 3s played, because I don't think this is going to be decided until the final play day.
Group A? No, I agree with you. Like, it will be funny. Oh, it'd be very sad for whoever does end up bottom in this group, because I don't think any of them really deserve to be bottom in this group. You know, like, they all on their A days can play exceptionally good StarCraft, and besides Clem, everybody is very beatable in this group, because even Gung Fu, who I actually rate very highly these days, like, he's 6.8, 6.9k MMR. If I put him up against Bly or, I don't know, anybody else in this group, I think he can be beaten. So it is very, very open. And the playstyles and how they play on the day, it will really decide everything.
And I think a fun thing as well is that if I think of Vanya and Bly, I will always think that their weakest matchup is ZVT. But at ZVZ, they're capable of miracles. And ZVP is often where they excel, just because they've got some devastating builds up their sleeve. So in a way, it should be a good group, right, for Vanya and Bly, with only a single Terran, and that's a Terran that will most likely beat everyone anyway, so it's not that big of a deal to lose against him.
Yeah, you start off 0-1, but so does everybody else against that guy, you know? Like, it's a great way to go about the group. This Reaper, he has been very good with his first Reaper, and I know when You saw that very famous clip of Cyril, right? Like, oh, don't want to go against Clem's Reaper on this map when he was talking about Beckett Industries, but he is definitely cheeky with this. Vanya going for a very similar build this game, as is Clem. Oh, actually, Clem's gone for double gas very early, so he's the one mixing it up a little bit here.
Yeah, don't hate it. I mean, in the first game, we went for the safe and controlled opening, take the 1-0 lead. And you know, you've got a bit of a buffer in case something would go wrong in a weird scenario. I think it makes sense, and we also want to see some, you know, early aggression out of Clem. When I think of his Reaper, by the way, I don't necessarily think of what Cyril said. I think of the little clip video content that we played during the Intox 3 Masters, where we asked players if they could be a unit from StarCraft 2, what would they be? And then Clem said, I'd be a Reaper, because they're really annoying. And that's all I can think of right now when I see Clem and his Reapers.
So there's one game of, I think it's him against Lambo on Romanticide, where he's like blocking the third base or something for a long time, and it's just so obnoxious, the fact that you could get away with that. But yeah, this game, Clem is going to be obnoxious, and in the face of Vanya very quickly. Vanya has gone for an absurd amount of Zerglings, by the way. Like, it's not just this group, it's on the ones on the top of the map as well.
Yeah, the timing is quite nice because the other two Hellions are making their way towards the center. So these 5 or 6 Zerglings are going to show up in the natural of Clem. Wow, single SCV, that's it, because Clem was not going in too deep with his Hellions on the other side of the map. Yeah, and that means that it's not really worth it. Often people think as long as you keep your Lings alive, it's fine, but Vanya obviously could have had a few more drones than he currently does. Now, he made those Lings very early on, and a single SCV ban, I think we're hoping for a bit more than that.
Oh, definitely. That being said, it does keep the pressure away from you, but Vanya, there's a lot of extra Lings being made, and double Evo this game. He's definitely changed it up. It's no longer the super fast mutas. He's playing very safe against the playstyle of Clem. And I guess this just comes down to how well he manages things.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling this for Vanya, because the downside of this opening is obviously that your lair is very late. And if your lair is very late, as the Zerglings are going to try to get us around from the Hellions, and that doesn't really work out. But then late lair means late bailing speed, and even fast bailings have a issue in general connecting with the Marines of Clem. I don't think I've seen a slow bailing connect with Marines of Clem in over a year at this point. So I don't know if this is the right way to play against the Frenchman. As more Zerglings are getting roasted and toasted here. A couple of extra Lings did pop. Clem is going to end up losing his Hellions. I mean, this wasn't too bad for Vanya. But I am worried about the fact that, yeah, we're going to have slow bailings until 8, 9, 10 minutes into this game. I don't know how that's going to work out.
So the bad thing is, even though Clem didn't get a lot of drone damage done, if we look at the work account, Terran is never meant to be ahead. Like, he is ahead mainly because Vanya put himself behind in this game. And we see that Vanya is going for something incredibly aggressive here.
The Banshees ban.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to go well for Vanya, man. Like, he really needs Clem to mess up massively. Clem's already getting a tank out against this. Like, this is going to be a massive bailing bust from him. Oh! That third lifting up could definitely be a little bit... Oh my goodness, the timing from Vanya.
Yep, that's very solid. I do think it's a bit stubborn by Clem because he saw that there was nothing on the other side of the map. He saw extra Lings were being produced. So Vanya shows up at an absolutely picture-perfect moment and gets a crap ton of SCVs. Over 20 SCVs have gone down. That's why you normally don't want to lose your Hellions the way that Clem lost them. What's happening with the Banshees on the... Whoa, while this was happening, the Banshees went down too. And the floodgates are open. Is this the map win for Vanya? That could be massive in this big round robin. Because I don't think Clem is going to lose all that many maps, Ben. I don't know how it's happening. It shouldn't be happening, but it's happening.
I don't know either, Kevin. Like, you know, that third, that got lifted. But this is just... disaster. And easy even go for the engineering base. This could be huge because then not only has he dealt such economic damage, but he's just going to be ahead on unit upgrades and he's going for it. And that's the right move.
I like it too. Sure, we're going to lose a couple of Lings, but we've already done a decent amount of economic damage. He gets both E-base, both upgrades get cancelled, 85% done. During all of this, Vanya is up to 4 hatcheries and he has now taken a 30 worker lead. Nothing about this made sense, right? Because it wasn't very well hidden. It was quite telegraphed. It wasn't a 1-1 timing because basically the 1-1 upgrades finished up while the Lings were already deep into the main base. but it worked out. And while this was taking place, Clem also losing the Banshees on the other side of the map. And this is massive for Vanya.
You know what was also very funny? Clem was re-walling with one depot. If he actually made a second depot there, because this was before there was any banelings or anything from Vanya, like, it would have been the biggest fail of all time, but it absolutely paid off. Now he's just going to deal more economic damage again, and Vanya has tied up the series, mate.
And that's massive for everyone who's watching. It's like, oh, Vanya's not going to win game 3 anyway. Well, you don't know that. We don't know that. But even if he doesn't, we are playing 8-man round-robin groups. Ties happen very often. We've seen players in the past not make the playoff because they were one map short. Vanya just picked up a map against Clem. Well, Ben, that's not going to be easy for the other players in this group. Well done. Nothing about this game made sense to me, but I don't even care. I'm pretty happy for Vanya.
I'm very happy for Vanya. That was it was shameless. He absolutely didn't play any other way than what I expected. Just kind of a weird attack timing. But I definitely feel that Clem got caught with his pants down. You can't, as you said, you can't afford to do that against a player that's as good as Vanya, even if you kind of know him a little bit. And guys, we'll be heading to a short break and we'll find out who wins this series between these two players. Do stay tuned. Hello, guys. Welcome back again. And yeah, if you looked at it, you're not wrong. It's 1-1 between Clem and Vanya, and we're going into the third game of the series, which will be Romanticide. And yeah, me and Kevin were just talking about it in the break. We were just like, yeah, that didn't make sense. Like, Vanya's decision making just then absolutely didn't make sense. It paid off, but it's one of those situations where it absolutely shouldn't have done.
Everything came down to Clem lifting that orbital, flying it over, not sieging his tank, not having a wall off, and then it could work. So basically, the Russian put all his eggs in one basket, and that is just assuming that Clem was going to do this thing. And if Clem didn't do the thing, this game would have been pretty much over. There's nothing that he really could have done. But it worked out. Somehow, some way, he made it work. And that means that this man is now all tied up. And that's probably not something a lot of you guys expected. But he's still the favorite for this best of 3. It is Team Liquid's Clem.
And spawning over in the top left-hand side, crazy as ever, it is Vanya.
Well, even crazier than winning a map would be winning the best of 3, Benjamin.
If you can start off the group stage like that, that would be an absolute dream, you know? Because this is the one match that anybody that goes into this group, they're like, oh, it's against Clem. Okay. So I'm going to get like a map win here, maybe. But you know, you think about the map wins, you don't think about the series win, because you almost kind of talk about your score being X-1 in this group. Like, you're just going to have that loss against Clem. But Vanya, if you can pull off something wet and wild like that again, which, I mean, the first game as well, I don't think he played it that badly, but Clem has to be more respectful than he was against Vanya, like he really does.
We've got an update coming in from the other series that's obviously taking place on the B stream, and apparently Drogo managed to start off his DreamHack adventure with a 2-1 win over Bly. Don't know what happened. I'm sure the games were fun, and I'm sure that they were wild and close, as they often are with Bly, but that's a very solid start for Drogo.
And a repeat performance, almost, of Drogo defeating Bly. It was back a long time ago. It feels like in another lifetime right now, but in the finals of a DreamHack, those two played once upon a time. So yeah, nice start for Drogo. And even taking a map for Bly, that's actually quite a big deal in this group, because it is going to be close by the end of it. I know we talk about it now being map wins and stuff, and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It absolutely matters.
Yep, we've seen that last season, not just at summer or winter, but in all 3 seasons. We saw Christiana, like Wardy mentioned, he was 1 map short of making it into the playoffs back then in DreamHack Winter. And especially in this group where we already said, Clem, sure, overwhelming favorite. He's probably going to win the group. But 2nd, up for grabs. 3rd, up for grabs. 4th, up for grabs. So every map win truly does matter. It's good for Bly that he got a point on the board, but it's more important for Drogo to just get that first big best of 3 out of the way. And now we are still watching Vanya, potentially free-rolling almost here in Game 3, because he already did what I don't think many other players in Group A are going to do, and that is take a map of Clem. But can he truly shake things up and somehow win his opening match?
Oh, I like the build that Clem's going for here. It is a 3cc, which is kind of the... I think it's pretty much the most basic build now in TVC, the most standard one, but he's doing the 2-1-1 follow-up with it, which this is almost a Clem special. I know I've watched Big Game Stream a lot, and he'll watch Clem do this. He's like, oh, yeah, it's the Clem special kind of thing, where he'll just push with Heli and Marine, deal a lot of damage, and do what other players just can't. And I do like this mix-up from Clem. This is 3 different builds in 3 different games, so he's definitely showing the fact that he's evolving as a player with the ability to mix it up.
Is there a downside to this opening for Clem?
It can be a little bit wild against any kind of roach opening, and we saw a lot of those in the Rogue finals kind of thing, but that's pretty much one of its main weaknesses. It also has very delayed upgrades, which is one thing that you kind of have to utilize. Like, you have to get out a lot of units very quickly, but in general, it's a fairly solid opening.
All right, we'll see where Clem takes it. Vanya, I don't think is too aware of what's happening in the main base. Sure, he's got an Overlord chilling in the natural, and he will be able to count the Marines there, so that should give him a little bit of information to work with. And I can only assume that Vanya has done his homework. He's known for a couple of days that his opening best of 3 was going to be against Clem, so he should be familiar with this one. And his response ban, or maybe this was the plan all along, is going to be once more the double evo before attacking up. Sure, it worked last game, but let's be real, that had nothing to do with the double evo, and it had everything to do with the fact that Clem lifted his orbital when he did.
I'm a bit more scared for Vanya this game, because I feel that running into It should. Oh, actually, Clem isn't making like double or a reactor Hellions. He's just going straight for medevacs here. So this is something that he's definitely mixing it up a bit more than I'm used to with this, because usually you go for one medevac at a time and you use the reactor that you think you made for the starport just to whip out quite a few Hellions, whereas here you're just getting out Marines, just 2 Hellions. So he definitely skipped a beat here to get what he's going. And Vanya, he's getting away with that greed by the looks of it.
Yep. Clem left 2 Hellions at the bottom side to potentially scout for a run-by, and that run-by was indeed taking place. The upside here for Clem, I guess, is that his Marine count is going to be very high early on. And his medevac count is going to be very high too. We know how good the micro is of this young Frenchman. Throws down a scan. He's going to push back the creep a bit in the center. And I think it will all come down to just the trades that we're going to have here in the center. And normally these trades should be good for Clem because he's got all the micro potential.
It's so difficult when you go up against a Zerg that is very off meta with their timings. Like, that's 41 Lings on the field. They're going to have 1-1 very soon. But the drone count is just not there. So I think Clem, with seeing this many units, he's just going to stay out with these 2 medevacs, maybe even bring them home like he is doing. Yeah, he's scanning. He's just like, okay, what's going on here? Because this is a little bit weird. There's something going on. And he's made sure he's got a wall here. He's constructing another one as well. Oh, is he going up for 8 Raxes here very quickly? I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
I think that Clem's idea here is like, you know what? I know how you play, Vanya, and I don't think you're ever going to beat me in the ultra late game. I'm not worried about ultras and vipers. I'm more worried about you swarming me with units. So why don't I just get as many battle units out myself as early as possible, make sure I can get some upgrades, because I'm pretty sure that if Clem just keeps at any given moment 20, 30, 40 Marines alive, he should be fine, right? Like, it's not like Zerg can just attack off creep and run into the natural if the Terran is waiting there with all their units. So I don't hate what Clem's doing.
No, me neither. And he's kind of respecting the army a little bit as well. This, if a fight happened right here, right now, just before his upgrades are done, then I would be a bit sad for him. And Vanya, he might just fight this kind of off creep here, but the tanks are very nicely placed.
I'm with you, especially before the tanks sieged up, right? Imagine 1-1 Lings against 0-0 Marines, tanks not sieging up yet. That really could have been a massive moment for Vanya, but perhaps he was as surprised as we were to see Clem already bring these units to the other side of the map. Now the rocks is still up, and I don't really see a way that Vanya is going to get a great fight. Maybe he's going to set up his flank, but these Lings and Banes going to have to travel a long way around to collapse on this Terran army.
I don't actually understand such early evos if he's not going to utilize the timing, but maybe it's about the 2-2 timing, you know what I mean? But a big flank being set up by Vanya, and that single Marine did spot it by Clem. So Clem, he's just going to try and deal with one side first and maybe the other later on.
Yep, he's going to pick up a couple of Banelings here. Excellent target fire. I mean, sure, the Banelings do have their speed upgrade, but that doesn't mean they're just going to connect off creep. Now, Vanya's going to try to bring his Lings and Banes in from the left side. I love that tank on the high ground. The focus fire on the Banes is absolutely spectacular. And I think Liquid Clam is a little pissed off about the fact that he lost that previous game. Look at the units lost resource step then. 5,100 against 1,400. I mean, this was absolutely perfect on the side of Clem. Jeez Louise.
Super well handled. GG is called. That really comes down